welcome to another episode of Perspectives with Gwen. So today we have our very first gent, Mr. Thobani Ndlovu, architect by profession, co-licensee of TEDx Durban. Mr. Ndlovu, welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, so let's get to a few quiz questions and then we'll get to our actual topic for the day. Righty, so have you ever been out of the country?
Oh, I've never. But I plan to quite soon, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Where to?
So
Can you tag along?
I'm always conflicted. I always think, if I go out of the country, I either want to go to a country that has like very good architectural, buildings.
God.
And
Come
or
on.
I go to England for the football.
Okay.
So, yeah, either Singapore for the architecture, or Greece.
Greece.
Yeah. If not Greece, then England.
England.
Yeah.
Righty. Second one, have you ever ridden a motorcycle?
Have I? I don't think so. I don't think so. But
What do you mean you don't think so?
Cause like I've been exposed to them quite a lot, but I don't think I have actually like gone on one. But I want
Any
one.
ambitions?
I do want
You
one.
do?
Yeah. I'm not sure I want to have one when I'm married, because like now it's too high risk.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
are anticipating marriage
At some point, yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it. Ever lived in another state?
No.
Okay. Ever met a celebrity?
I think I've met quite a number of celebrities.
Is it?
Yeah.
Your favorite one?
Who's my favorite celebrity? I'd say Phuthi Mahanyele. I'm not sure if you consider her a celebrity, but she's become a celebrity for people in business.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But out of the country, I'd say Gary V.
Gary V. Okay.
Yeah. Or Simon Sinek.
Hey. Are you being intentional with mentioning people that we don't know? I don't know. Alrighty, let's continue. So, have you ever won a contest? Any contest?
Yeah, I have actually.
What is it?
So 2007 there was a Rugby World Cup that was happening, and there was a contest to write the best poem for the Springboks.
Really?
And I won that in primary school.
Where is it now?
I'm sure I probably threw it away somewhere.
No,
Or do they have
man.
it? They might have it at the school.
I mean, if you won it, did you not contest for it to get to the boka until we know we recite it now? See, it could've made it. See,
it
now,
could've-
like,
yeah.
wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
No. Okay, let's get to the last one. Have you ever experienced a natural disaster like a hurricane or tornado?
I'm sure floods count. I'm sure.
No.
Floods.
KZN floods, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like you're in some
definitely
sort of
not a
natural
hurricane.
disaster.
Yeah, but floods should count.
Okay.
That was hectic, eh?
Ish, yeah, no. If we're being honest, yeah, KZN floods. Definitely. Okay, I think we all have experienced some sort of natural disaster in Durban. Alrighty. Speaking of Durban, so you decided that you want to put Durban on a map.
Yeah.
With TEDx Durban. Why TEDx Durban?
So, even in high school, I've always been someone who's known for writing well. I'll put it that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my English teacher used to enjoy, and she used to tell me that she really enjoys reading my paper threes. So after high school, I went to varsity. I started writing in like my spare time, and at the end of varsity, I then compiled everything I was writing and released a book. So I released the book, and then I released a book, and then I started getting booked to go and speak at different spaces, and I started enjoying that because while you're speaking, you get to see people's response to what you're saying.
Yes.
It's different than just releasing a book and someone reads it in their own space.
Okay.
So I then wanted to find out what's the biggest platform that I can take this talk and go and share the contents of the book on. And I found out to go to TED Talks, like there's no bigger platform than a TED Talk, you know?
Definitely.
So then that's what I wanted to do. And I started doing my research. And I wanted initially to have a TED Talk, but I ended up, you know, getting the license thinking that I'm going to book myself as a speaker. But unfortunately, you can't do that. So blessing in disguise, and this is where we are now.
Definitely, because I think your concept in Durban is working in ways that most people didn't anticipate. Because Durban is known to be laid back, don't really want to be in the spotlight and do big things, but you're doing big things.
Thank you.
The last event last year, I think you had the biggest attendance numbers in the country.
Yeah, so typically TED Talk events or TEDx's normally go for about 100, 150 people, 200 if you're pushing it. But last year we had over 330 people, I think, in the auditorium. So I think that definitely made us the biggest in the country,
Sure. Doing big things, for sure. Alrighty, so I think also with TEDx and TED Talks, maybe some people don't really understand them. You know, so what is it for? What does a TEDx, if I'm invited to attend one of your events, what can I look forward to? What is it for? What's the purpose of TED Talks and TEDx and everything?
I always tell people that one of the biggest misconceptions about TED Talks is that it's for motivational speakers.
Yes.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate that in South Africa, we all look at people who speak as motivational speakers. Gandhi, if you are knowledgeable in your field, you can become a speaker, but you're not motivational. You're sharing the knowledge that you have in that specific topic. But because we're lazy to, you know, recognize that there are different types of speakers, we all just want to make them all motivational speakers. And because I feel like it's a bit discrediting, you know, for someone who has gone and, you know, studied and perfected and become, you know, a thought leader in something to just be known as a motivational speaker.
Wow.
You know? So I feel like that's a huge misconception. We're definitely not for motivational speakers.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with being a motivational speaker, don't get me wrong. But what we do is we're more about ideas. So when we put out a call for speakers, in the form, there's a section where it asks you, what's your idea, you know? And that's where you get to expand on the idea. And we train our speakers. So it's not really about your speaker profile, how great of a speaker you are. It's more about the idea and the content. So we believe that in ideas, you actually can, you know, we can do so much. So we want to give platform to ideas so that more people can know about the different ideas, and that the ideas can spark even different, you know, thoughts and perspectives in other people. So yeah, we believe that everything starts from just having an idea and taking that idea and being able to translate it into a conversation or a talk, and from there you can do so much.
And even into a reality.
Yeah.
We want to materialize the ideas that we have.
Definitely.
Alrighty. Dr. Miles Monroe said something very intriguing. He said, if you want to kill an idea, don't kill the man with the idea. So you exchange it with a different idea, and it automatically kills the other idea.
Oh.
So, what is the importance or the power of conversations?
Yeah.
You know, what's the significance in having a conversation?
Yeah. So when we started doing TEDx Durban events, initially I don't think we understood what it is that we were doing. We were just, we were just fans of TED Talks, and we thought we could do the same thing. But as we started doing it, I think that's when we started to realize that, you know, we should be more intentional with what we're doing. It's a huge responsibility because we realize that what we're doing is we're giving people a platform to share their perspectives.
Yes.
From that, they can actually influence other people's perspectives, which is quite a huge responsibility, you know. So that's where we started to see the power of conversations, because someone can come in thinking a certain way, and from a talk that they hear, they can literally change how they view a certain topic. And from that thought, they then move and change how they behave, you know. So I think that's the power of conversations. The fact that conversations can spark something that can move on to becoming an action. And I always make the example that I probably wouldn't be here if my father didn't decide to have a conversation with my mother. You know, that honestly,
Okay.
that is the power of conversation, you know?
Wow. Okay, that's very intriguing because I think we're all here because two people decided to have some sort of a conversation.
You know? Honestly.
Okay, so how important is it to be considerate maybe of the way you think? Because I think to have a conversation, you must be thinking a certain way, you know. How do I make sure that I have ideas that are worth sharing? You know, we live in a world where every perspective and every opinion is allowed.
Yeah.
You are free to speak your mind. You are free to share your own ideas and your own opinions about anything and everything.
Yeah.
So let's look at it that way, and maybe how do we make sure that we still add value, or maybe we try to guard our ideas and our conversations and our opinions that we put out there?
Yeah, that's a big debate. Freedom of speech, but with that freedom of speech, I think comes responsibility as well, you know. We all want people to be free enough to want to share how they feel, what they think. But I think at the same time, it's also about how you actually say it, you know. Because everything you say will have an impact. Sometimes things you say may not have an impact now, but it's a seed that you plant in someone else that hears that. So I think it also comes with a bit of a sense of responsibility. I think discerning what to say, when to say, that's a totally different skill. But if you can have that skill, I think it's very important because, I mean, sometimes you sit in a meeting that involves a number of people, and you can see that, oh, this person wasn't supposed to say this. Like this
you
is
cringe
not,
on their behalf.
Exactly. So I think it's actually a skill, you know, understanding, being able to read the room, understanding when to say certain things, how to say certain things. Yeah. So I guess it's just a matter of trying to work on that. But we would like to have sort of a space where people can share their thoughts and how they feel, you know. But sometimes it's not always the best environments for that. I think Twitter is a good example of that.
It's funny you mentioned that. I remember the actual owner of the app X, Twitter, was actually dragged on his own app. And I was like, look at the power that people have, you know, and the power of opinions and perspectives. People can just say whatever they want to say, even on the actual owner's app. They can tell you, no, you're actually wrong.
and you know, I think now what makes it even more difficult is people are very lazy to verify information, you know. So some people are now being considered leaders in certain topics, which are quite controversial just because they are consistent in releasing information, you know. But if you actually, you know, think about it, some of the information is not accurate. So I think it's an interesting space that we live in now. But I guess it's on each person to try and verify and also filter the type of information that they receive.
Sure. What do you think of the liberal times that we live in? You can say whatever you want to say, do whatever you want to do, identify as whatever you want to identify as. You mentioned off camera that we might maybe need to be considerate of the frameworks and maybe some rules and some concepts that will help to ensure that, yes, we are free to become and to explore, but not at our own expense as well. We want to live and thrive in an environment that is safe while we are exploring and becoming whatever. So how do you think we can maybe bring a balance going forward?
So I'm of the opinion that there should be a framework in how we live. You know, we shouldn't break down all the boxes, because at the end of the day, we then also don't know how to move in a world without any boxes or any framework. I'll make an example. A lot of the time when you're in high school especially, you feel like you know everything.
Yes.
But you actually don't, you know? So you need the framework of a parent who has lived longer than you to give you that framework to say, watch this, you know, watch that. So I think as much as we were pushing for liberation and, you know, we want to be able to voice out anything that we want to voice out, at the same time, I think we should still have certain frameworks that, you know, are still part of society. And off camera, you did mention that those can come from whether it's culture, religion, you know. But even with that, I feel like our generation wants to have one thing that everyone agrees on, which I feel is impossible.
Yes.
You know,
and it's also contradicting, because now we want everyone to agree with everyone, but also everyone must have their own opinion. You know? So are we not contradicting ourselves?
So we should be able to live in a space where we have different views, we have different beliefs. If someone attacks my belief, it doesn't mean that my belief is wrong. But the minute someone attacks my belief on social media, all of a sudden they're wrong. So that's not the type of world that I feel should be, you know, type of society we should live in. I feel like, sure, you can have your own beliefs, your own opinions, but it doesn't mean that that's what everyone should believe in. And you should be fine with people actually attacking it, or maybe not attack, but other people having different opinions and different beliefs, because that's the beauty of, you know, the society or the world that we live in. The fact that we can come from different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions, and still be able to occupy the same space. But I just feel like we're trying to now move away from that and have this one sort of thing that everyone regards as right, you know.
But also it's like, on what basis? What do we use as the standard thing? Who do we use as the standard? You know, because even with the religions and the cultures, all are different. I can say, as Umzulu, this is what I stand for and believe in. It then doesn't negate the other race from being right as well. So I feel like we are going into a very tricky world, and it's quite scary for people our age, because also you're looking at family, you're looking at the future generation. You mentioned that you'd like to get married at some point. And also, what does this world look like? Looking at where it's going for your children, you know, what kind of environment do you want to expose your children to?
And even the whole marriage thing, I speak to a lot of people now who are like, oh, I'm not sure I believe in the concept of marriage, and you know, and fair enough, but I feel like even that, you know, it's part of the whole liberal, you know, sort of world that we're now in, where people can just be like, we'll just co-parent. But I'm not sure how I feel about that. I still believe in a lot of the structures that are considered traditional, you know. So I guess that's one of the things where we as much as we're improving and trying to consider a lot more than just how things were. But some things, it's hard to let go of, you know, how they are. But I guess there's challenges for any sort of situation, whether the new or the old.
Or the old,
you know?
Do you think maybe we are lacking a sense of responsibility with our ideas and our content that we're putting out there? Because you find that some people don't practice what they preach.
True.
You know, so someone can put out a narrative out there, but you find that how they're living is completely different. You know, so do you think maybe also the exposure of social media, now it's easy for me to just access any form of information. You know, do we have a sense of responsibility with our social media?
Yeah, with social media, I feel like a lot of the people, especially people who are very vocal on social media, some people don't really believe in the things that they say on social media, to be honest. You go there and you sit with them and you're like, how? But, you know, you stand for this on social media, but in person, it's totally different, you know. But people that follow that person will take that as it is.
As it is.
And they'll want to implement that as it is in real life. And I think that's where you start having issues. So we definitely should be more responsible, but I think we also should try and understand that social media is not real. Social media is not a real. It's not real life.
It's hard to decipher and to believe. You know, so I think it's really a challenge when it comes to social media and navigating social media, because also you want to engage, you want to meet new people, but also how do I know where to go and where do I stand? So maybe I don't know, maybe with this liberal times that we're living in, do you think we are losing a sense of conviction and values and standpoints as an individual to stand up for what I believe in, no matter what? You know, you don't want to be too controversial unless someone comes and attacks your point. So you rather just toe the line, but also, are you living out then your true conviction? You know, and what does that look like for other people around you? Do you think we are losing a sense of convictions and values, and are we standing up for our own individual beliefs and also, you know, traditions?
But I think sometimes what makes it difficult is cancel culture, because you know, sometimes people get canceled for something where you're like, oh, but it's not what people are calling it out to be, you know. So I think that's what gives some people a bit of nerves in sharing how they feel or sharing their convictions, you know. And then you get people who have nothing to lose, who will have the guts to share whatever they want on social media.
With fake accounts and everything.
With fake accounts, you know. So, and then you get sometimes people who have something valuable to share. Because sometimes, you know, valuable perspectives may come with a twist or something that's unpopular, like an unpopular sort of perspective. But you can't share that because you're scared that, oh, what if, you know? So I think we're giving the wrong people a platform to be able to lead the space, simply because they know that, I mean, if I say what I want to say, it's not like people can come for anything, you know? And those people are the ones that can have courage to you know, take up space on social media. So I think that makes it a bit tricky. And we can call for people to be responsible all we like, but it's tricky.
So what I've noticed as well with social media, more negative news gain more traction.
Absolutely.
Than the positives, or what we deem as positive. Why do you think that is? I
think just as humans,
Why? Were we always like that?
I think so, honestly. One of my mentors always says, negative news spreads on its own. You know, it's like weeds. But positive news, you have to, you know, you have to work on it. And even how you are as an individual, if someone says something negative, it's easy for you to believe that. But if someone says something positive, you want confirmation, you know, you want to keep hearing it until you believe it. But if it's negative, only one person once, they have to say it once, and it's gonna bother you for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week, the rest of the month, you know. It's easy to believe negative stuff, but positive stuff, it's not so easy to believe. You have to literally work on yourself in order for you to be able to take in the positive.
But also, don't you think that if we're created like that, are we not inflicting our own pain? Because that's how some people get depressed, get anxiety, because you're consuming negative feedback, you're consuming negative conversations, negative narratives. Are we not then inflicting pain on our own selves?
We are. You know, the more there's a Stoic phrase that says, "Do not suffer imagined troubles." Like, you know, because a lot of the time we suffer more in our head than what we do in real life, you know. Because you think of something and then you keep replaying it in your head, and just that makes you suffer, you know. And sometimes you end up making the situation worse than it is.
Yes.
And I think it's the nature of how we are, but it takes work to try and reverse that. It takes, you know, intentionally looking at for more positive stuff so that you can play it, so that you can remind yourself about the positive stuff.
Sure. Do you believe in manifestation?
Oh.
Manifesting candles. You know, it's the candle and some other stuff.
11.
Yeah. There's that also. You know, do you believe in that?
Funny enough, I think about 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine asked me that very, very same question.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. I do believe that you attract a lot of, you know, I believe that you can attract positive things if you have a positive sort of framing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this is how I answered my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I believe that in manifesting, thinking about positive stuff and thinking, let's say you're going for a job interview,
Yeah.
and you keep thinking, I'm gonna do well, I'm gonna get it. That actually impacts how you show up. So did you really manifest it, or did you just show up well, you know?
Oh.
It's because of how you thought that made you act a certain way, and then you attracted that. But if you just think and sit, oh, I'm not sure I'm convinced, you know? Yeah.
You know what you're saying? The Bible says, as a man thinks, so is he.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. So I think you manifest by thinking, but then as you think, it also transfers into how you show up. And I think that's what then attracts certain things.
Do you think you manifested your life where you are right now? I think you're doing quite well.
Yeah.
You're doing quite well.
Thank
Did you
you.
see yourself here as an architect, TEDx,
Yeah.
everything? And also I think you're very rounded and well established, and you have sports, also you enjoy sports.
Very.
You know, there's so many things that you're doing that are considered to be successful in the times that we live in.
Thank you.
What contributed to that?
I do think if you want to call it manifesting, sure.
Okay.
But definitely, I try and meditate on a lot of positive stuff.
Okay.
I try to, as much as I can, shut out any sort of negativity. I also don't believe in a perfect world or a perfect life. So I think that also helps, you know.
Okay.
I believe there'll be times of trouble. So when those times come, it's not like, oh, my life is... It's like, it's part of life, you know.
Oh, wow.
I believe we have tears so that we can cry, you know. So some people feel like certain things aren't for them. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about a Bible verse on foundations.
Yeah.
And actually, no, it was after a church service where they were preaching about foundations. And the pastor was saying that some Christians believe that because they have a firm foundation in Christ, then they shouldn't experience floods.
Whew.
But floods are for everyone, you know. Who are you to not experience floods in your life, you know? So I think that also helps because I believe that in life, how you deal with the bad times impacts how you show up, even in the good times, or that's the greatest decider, how you are in terms of trouble, you know. So I think that helps, you know. I try by all means to not be a wreck when when things aren't going well. So I think that really helps.
Do you think men are more equipped, or maybe well equipped for challenges or for tough times more than the females? Because if you look at it, if we're growing up as a girl, I'm more protected, I'm more shielded from the world and all the experiences. If I'm playing with something, it's not something dangerous. You know, I've just got my Barbie doll, and we're having a good time. But as guys or as boys, from the time that you are young, you know, even how they play with you. You know, your dad will just, it's rough play. So, do you think men are more equipped?
Maybe not. I think we're differently equipped because if you look at it, girls do chores from like a very young age. It's not easy to do chores. It's actually...
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's a different type of rough, you know?
Oh, okay.
So that's how I see it. So I think we're differently equipped because waking up early to do chores every day, that's really not easy, you know? That's actually hard, you know? So I guess that can play a part in equipping you for hardship because it's not easy. It's like going to the gym. People can't go to the gym because of how hard it is. And not just the pain, but also the discipline of going to the gym. But being able to do chores every day, that takes discipline, you know? So I guess that is a form of hardship as well.
Okay. Do you think modern men are becoming lazier? And I'm asking you this question because you obviously my first gent in the podcast. And I saw someone or heard someone say that he feels like, and it was a guy, funny enough, feels like modern men are becoming lazier because all you're seeing right now is just men sitting down and speaking on podcasts. Which is not necessarily a lie. If you scroll on your on your YouTube or whatever where you're consuming your content, men are there. Many men are sitting down and having conversations. Are we facing lazy men?
I don't think so. I think women are afforded a lot of the opportunities right now. But also, before I even move on to actually answering the question, I'm not the biggest. Like, I see a lot of posts, especially by women, where a man mustn't have social media. He must, mustn't be vocal in social media. And I feel like that's trying to drive one narrative. If you shut out or shut down the other voice, then there's a danger of a single story, So I'm not the biggest fan of that. I believe we should have both voices online, If men want to say something, they should have the platform to be able to say it. If women want to say something, they should too. But I also feel more and more people in general are coming onto the social media space. And one of the reasons for that is there aren't any opportunities in the workplace. Many people aren't employed. And I think there's more pressure for guys to have money or to have something going for themselves.
Oh, we want the money.
Exactly, So if opportunities aren't there, jobs and all of that, what's the best way to try and do that? And there's a template for that. You see it. Most people open a podcast and it starts blowing up and, they start doing well. So as a guy, there's a pressure to do well. And you see the templates from other people. Why not, So I think it's not being lazy, but it's trying to work towards something,
Okay.
Because you see it working for other people. And there aren't any opportunities that are availing themselves for you to be able to become successful. So you try and do what you're seeing working for other people.
For me, the interesting part though was I know quite a few people that have podcasts, but also that have other things that they are doing, that they are busy with. So also, who's to say that sitting down and having a conversation is not contributing like someone else who's working? You can earn money now by having conversations. So maybe is a man who's just having conversations on YouTube not considered to be a working man, And also maybe as gents, do you have a certain criteria for a hardworking man? What does a hardworking man look like to males,
So I believe in hard work. I believe in that in order to gain something, you should put in the work, I'm not the biggest fan of these get rich, quick, So I think that's where I can say men maybe are a bit lazy because I feel like they are the ones that run towards these things quite.
Really?
Yeah. You don't think so?
I think women are there, man. Who has stats for Triple M? Can we get some stats?
That, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we all in there because it's like money. We all want money.
Yeah. But I don't think I think it's very hard to define what hard work is, especially because for something like a podcast or YouTubing, you don't see the background work,
Yes.
So I mean, it can require a lot of work, the logistics that come with it, the planning that goes in behind the scenes. I always say people actually don't understand what it takes to organize a conference. The types of conferences that we do. And you can't have that experience unless you are part of the team or you've been part of something like that. So I feel like even with podcasts, I'll say that, but I also understand that, you can switch on a camera and record something. It can't be as easy as that, But at the same time, depending on where you want to go as well, that could literally just be the start, but you've got like a whole production that you're hoping to reach one day, but it has to start there, So
okay. So speaking of work and opportunities, do you think we have equal opportunities in this specific time that we live in? Obviously, we come from a time where men used to go to work and war. Right now, yes, men are working. We don't know what the war is, but also women are working now. Whereas in the previous times, women were at home, tending to the home. But now we come from a time where there's been a lot of advocating for women to have opportunities, to have work, to do whatever they want to do. What has that trickled to for the next gender or for males? What has that? How has that contributed to how men operate in society?
I don't think that there's equal opportunities, but I guess it's trying to undo, what happened in the past. It's similar to the whole previously disadvantage in terms of race and stuff. There has to be that undoing, I believe, But I think what that then does is it also sort of disempowers the gender that's now left behind or being left behind, because it's not like there's now less men,
Yes.
So men are still, the same number of men are still in the system, but there's a specific focus on women.
On women.
So it becomes hard for, I think, men to then be able to exist in a space where they're not given the same opportunities. But I guess it's just the reality of life. I'm not sure, because I can't say that we shouldn't do that, because I do feel that we should do that, So I guess it's just, it's trying to exist.
Where's the balance though? Because, if you're uplifting the other, what are you doing with the other that's remaining?
True.
Do we have a balance? Are we working towards a balance, or are we just focusing on
one
thing?
You see, I think that's where the issue is. I think we're focusing on one thing, and the other is getting left behind. So maybe if there's an intentional effort to try and get that balance, but obviously, some can argue that focusing on the one is trying to get that balance because there was previously an imbalance,
Yes.
So I guess it's just trying to focus on the one without leaving the one behind. Which is not an easy task,
Definitely not. I saw because also let's look at what that does for the family structure. For someone who believes in family, if you're looking at who's working and working doing what, and also we can agree to the fact that our construct and our makeup is designed so that we are fully functional or more valuable in certain aspects than the other. So what does that look like when we are both going out to work? Who's at home? Who's tending to the kids? So, who's enforcing the rules? Who's making the rules?
So almost my whole life I was of the idea that I want this power couple, sort of when I get married, like my wife is gonna be a powerhouse, but then I started sharing space with like these old white men, who have been super successful.
Sure.
And a lot of them have like just normal people, normal wives or partners, focusing on the family, and that made me think. See, family is so important, and I'm not sure how much time people who are together, who are always out doing stuff, getting money, building stuff. I don't know how much time they have for family. So now I'm in a space where I'm really thinking, what is it that I want,
Yes.
Because I really, I believe in the family structure, like big time.
And if you're saying family structure, what does it look like? Mom and dad, because now we're also living in a different world where family structure is different, each to their own, you know. There's mom and dad, and there's mom and dad. And you know, what family structure, what does family structure look like? Or what's your, preferred family structure that you feel would work?
So I believe that a lot of the opinions that we have are shaped by what we saw, what we grew up in,
Yes.
So for me, what I saw was a mother and a father, so male and female, you know. So that's the structure that I believe in. But also I believe that just family structure, in a sense that if someone is coming from a good or united, or, you know, a good family structure, a strong family structure, they show up better in the world, you know. I feel if we focused on family structures in the country, in the world, we would live in a better society. There'd probably be less crime. You know, a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, there'd probably be less of if everyone was passionate and you know, they focused on family, you know, and they had family values. So I really, really believe in the family structure, and I believe that a lot of our answers could lie in a good family structure.
Whoa. Someone mentioned that, I think what you're talking about now, family structure and everything. So they said if you don't focus on building a good family structure, you're basically neglecting the political, the business aspect and the social aspect of life in general, because you are neglecting what actually stems or what actually builds a society, you know. So, and also if you're looking at raising children, you know, what do you think is the best, what does a perfect society or a working lucrative society look like for the children that you want to have? What do you think we are lacking that we don't have right now that would contribute to a society that you feel comfortable to raise kids in?
Sure. I think we live in a world with lots and lots of opportunities compared. So I could argue that we live in a better world than what we did before. Exactly, you know. But at the same time, I see a lot more people. One can argue that they don't have the same values, so then that becomes tricky, you know. And more people that I'm speaking to are now reconsidering the whole thing of having kids, because it's like, do I want to bring my kids into a society like this, you know? So it is tricky, but I guess the best you can do is to try and protect your kids from environments that you don't want them to be in. And I guess that's why people work hard, because they believe that they can move more and more away from the reality that other people face, you know. So you use money to try and shield your kids from actual reality. So I guess that's one of the things that one can do. But I remember you said you came to one of our conferences last year where where we partnered with Nosy.
Yes.
And I left that day feeling like we shouldn't wait for anyone in order to make a difference in society. Everyone should play a part in trying to improve society, you know, and the environments that we live in. So I feel if more people took that up, it would actually improve the space that we live in right now. I'll make an example. One of my mentors, their parents, I think they took about 11 kids to school.
Wow.
You know, like if they could see that, okay, this family is struggling, they would take the kid under their wing, not like adopt the kid, but like they would take care of them, you know.
Wow.
Do we see that now? That's the big question, you know. But if more and more people can do things like that, I feel like that would lead to a better society. So I'm now in a place where I'm trying to intentionally do things like that, just to play my role in trying to improve, you know. Yeah.
But I think maybe, do you think the structure that we are living under, where if you want to make a positive change in society, it's either you join a particular political party or you join politics in general. Do you think we have, because also let's say you want to do something in the community, you have to contact the councillor.
Yeah, there's a lot of red tape.
So there's that as well. So how do we navigate the social standards in the society that we live in now with the structures that we currently have, in trying to penetrate and make sure that we are doing what we can do to the best of our ability to bring about positive change? How do we do that?
I think that's where it becomes a question of how much do you actually want to do it, you know, because especially when there's red tape, it makes it even harder to execute something like that. But if you really believe in a better society, then I think you will try and persevere, you know, even with those boundaries, even with that red tape. So I think it's just trying to become that person that wants to do things like that, even with, you know, certain boundaries.
What war do you think men are currently fighting in our modern day and age? We hardly see you guys go out there and there's like,
and fight physically.
You know, there's this nation coming for this one, but we can honestly say we have certain wars. They come in different facets.
Yeah.
And I think I can remember one where it was discovered that we are actually being, I'm looking for a better word, I'm not going to say robbed, but we're actually being exploited with the rand value.
Yeah.
And one said, if you don't understand that this is war, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
You know, what wars do you think men are fighting currently?
So first one I think is very obvious, financial. But more than anything, I think it's actually intellectual. In the sense that I think probably one of the best assets to have is your mind right now.
Sure.
And if I look at it from the other side, like if I were female, I would definitely want to be in partnership with someone who I think intellectually can lead, like they can make sound decisions, you know. They're not easily influenced by whether it's social media, because there's a lot going on now. So it's a huge strength to be able to decipher, you know, information, to be able to to shut out certain information because because almost everything sounds right, you know.
True.
People can post something that's totally wrong, but because of how they say it with so much authority. It makes it sound as if that's it, you know. So I think having a sound mind is actually an incredible strength right now. So yeah, I think that's actually very key right now. And if you're a male and you can have a sound mind, I think that's a big advantage.
Okay. Do you think because the question was, what war are you fighting? Do you think you guys are winning, or there is extra pressure and suppression? Are you guys winning, or it's a struggle? Kubi.
It's a struggle, and both things. It's a struggle because there's a lot of information flying around. Financially, it's a struggle, obviously, because of, you know, how economically the world is right now. How South Africa is economically, you know. But also, it takes a very sober-minded person to be able to put things into perspective. Because I speak to a lot of guys who feel like they're not doing well. But you have to put it in perspective and realize that the world that we live in right now is a certain way, you know. And I was talking to a friend of mine recently who is under immense pressure, you know, to do well. But I was like, you are doing well, you know. You can afford a car, you can afford a house. You're probably in the top 5% in the country. You're not happy with that, you know. So there's a lot of pressure, but that pressure is lacking context, you know. So that's why I'm saying that I believe that war requires a sound mind, because if you're able to put things into perspective, you can literally save yourself from suicide, from depression, you know. So you have to constantly be able to put things into good perspective.
Whoa. Okay, maybe I saw a post, someone was asking the gents, why does it take you so long to settle down and get married? Why are you all dragging it so long? And I went through the comments on that post and I was laughing to myself.
I wonder what the comments were. That's a very interesting question. It's a very interesting question. But I think there's too much pressure now. That's one. There's too much pressure financially. You feel like you, as a provider, because, you know, I do believe that you have to provide as a guy, you know. But now your provision is not basics, you know. It's not basics. There's more, much more that you have to provide for, you know? So you want to be in a position where you're able to do that before you settle down. So that in order to get to that position, it's going to take longer, you know? So I think that's one of the reasons. But secondly, I think guys are just scared, you know?
Why? Scared of what?
Especially because of, you know, the whole liberated or liberation movement. I think it makes it a bit scary.
Are we scary? Women?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, what's scary?
The fact that females feel like they are independent, you know? Or maybe I'll say they are independent, so they can make decisions absent of you as the guy, you know? So I guess that can be a bit scary for some guys to think that, you know, as much as I can be with this person, but do I trust that when they make decisions, that decision will be in my best interest, you know, as a guy? So I guess that can be scary compared to a time where you knew without a doubt that this person depends on me, like not financially, but in terms of decisions. You know for sure that this person depends on the decisions that I make, you know, and they lean on me for those decisions.
But do you not think that could still be the case, whether someone has money or not? I think there's many different factors that could add to that, or maybe bring that to materialization, where you know that you're the head of the home, so you're going to make the decisions. Is it not maybe a struggle on the man himself to take up his leadership role? Why would you feel like someone is too independent, or what makes you feel like they'll make their own decisions anyway? You know, is it because of the money that I can just go and rent my own place?
Not even. So I was answering that like generally.
Okay.
Okay. So I may not be able to answer the follow-up question because it's not, you know, it's not a personal feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like maybe for some women, it's not just about money when you speak of a leader or someone who's a provider. You know, some men provide money, but they don't provide safety and protection. You know, someone gives you the money, but they abuse you physically, emotionally. You know, so what does a provider and a leader look like in that sense? If you're going to look at the man being the provider and the leader and all of that.
I think financial provision it's probably it's maybe entry level in my opinion, because I feel like as much as sure you can provide security with money, but I believe that a lot of what we do is in here. It's in your head. It's in the space you're in. You know, it's emotional. So how you show up has to do a lot with how you are mentally. Do you feel safe? You know, so I think how you lead overall is what makes you, you know, a good leader.
Yeah. Okay.
Or a good provider.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So 2024, we're voting.
We are.
What's your take on voting? Do you see the importance of it? Do you think it's going to bring about any change? Like, what's your take on us voting again? Some people are saying our 2024 is
our 1994.
What do you think?
Yeah. I think we live in very interesting times. Like 2024 is going to be very interesting politically. And I'm not sure if you check my Instagram stories, but I'm always posting about, have you registered to vote? You know? And I think some people are sick of me now posting that. But it's because I feel like as the youth, we're not very responsible with that privilege. We have the opportunity to be able to vote, but we don't use it. And then we also want the platform to be able to complain about things that we're not happy about when we actually don't go out there to be part of the people that select the leaders that will be leading the country. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, but I'm happy that I'll be able to to play a part, you know, in the voting process.
Do you? I personally have a concern with our credibility. I'm not going to lie. So I think I'm one of those who do advocate for voting.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie and say I don't fully trust.
There's even I agree with you. I even heard a speech. I forgot. I think even Jacob Zuma said Uguti, they have to be present when the votes are being counted. You know, and they will monitor everything. You know, and I think Ace Makashule as well said the same thing.
Okay.
Now, for people who were part of the ruling party to say that, it means they know something.
They know something that we don't.
You know? So yeah, I also feel, you know, there's probably a way to manipulate the votes. But I also believe that if the gap is big enough, I'm sure there can't be a way to manipulate it to the point that you can like tilt the scales that much, you know?
Yeah.
So I do believe that we still have a role to play with our votes, but it's all in the numbers. It's all in the numbers.
Sure, interesting times indeed. Yeah. Okay, I think as we get to a close, what would you like to see being done differently? Maybe not even just in South Africa, but if you look at where the world is heading, what's happening, what would you anticipate to see going forward?
Yeah. I feel that the world we live in now is not very human. We're losing a lot of our human nature, you know? Like the example I was making about someone being able to take care of someone that's not even family, you know? That's being human, you know? So I would love to see us going back to our humanness, you know?
Sure.
And a lot of, I think because more and more people are being exposed to the corporate environments, females being in the corporate environment now are losing their human nature as well, you know, their nurturing nature, because business requires you to be cutthroats, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess that plays a part because everyone now is in that space. We're losing they even call them soft qualities, you know, so we're losing a lot of that. And a lot of people see them as negative, especially because they're referred to as soft. But I believe that that can be a strength, you know. Being able to empathize with someone is a strength, you know, because you get to connect better with someone.
Yes.
And from connecting better with people, I think we would see ourselves living in a better society. So I would love to see us going back to being more human and exploring our humanness better, you know?
Sure, so powerful. So then what does positive masculinity look like? Because I think in having those soft qualities, you know, for a man, maybe for a woman, you know, it's like second nature. You know, we're built to be nurturing. Yeah. But for a man, especially also we're living in times where GBV is on a high, you know, it's just prominent to see a male hitting a female or, you know, just people fighting. So what does positive masculinity then look like with the soft qualities?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we need to emasculate men and make them, you know, like soft. No, I still believe that a man should have some sort of, you know, hardness compared to a female. I believe that, you know. But at the same time, there is a way of being hard but still be able to empathize, you know, but still be able to tap into, you know, your human side. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm answering you, but I don't believe that we should let go of our masculinity or our hardness in order to be soft. I believe you can exist in both worlds.
I think someone mentioned that it's good for a man to be dangerous, but also know when to use it.
Yeah.
So I think for me that that's like a good balance.
Yeah.
To be able, you know, to cause harm.
Yeah.
But also know when to use it. So for me that was interesting to see. Let's close it with TEDx and what we can look forward to.
Yeah. So we have quite a number of plans for TEDx this year. But one of the, I guess, the most interesting or most exciting for us at least is we're looking at having more vernacular talks, so Zulu, Xhosa, Pedi, So, yeah, I think that's very exciting for us because we've never seen something like that, So that's definitely in the pipeline. But now we need more people to approach us with different ideas. People that are comfortable to speak in the different languages that we have, We already last year did a talk where we had an interpreter, interpreting South African Sign Language, So those are all the things that we're looking at doing. So that's exciting for us. Yeah. We're just looking at quite a number of different types of events that we can have in different spaces. We're looking at having something by the ocean to just showcase, the Durban, the Durban vibe. I guess that's what's top of my head.
Okay. More speakers, prominent people coming through.
Depends. If there's a prominent speaker that will have an idea that we feel is interesting for our audience, sure. But we never know which speaker we'll go for, So the process is always we go for a theme. So the team will sit down and we'll brainstorm a theme for the conference, and then we'll take in applications. Or we'll jot down a few names that we think, based on that theme, those people probably will have something that's aligned with that, and then we approach those people. But it's always a balance between speakers we approach and speakers that apply, But they have to tap into the theme that we've selected.
Okay, and how does one become a part of the TEDx family?
Team, yeah. We'll have applications soon, but it's just a matter of hitting the team up. Our latest edition literally sent us their profile. They were like, I'd love to join you guys' team. This is what I do. This is my experience. And they sent that through. So there's always an opportunity to. I guess it depends on how we see you coming into the team.
Okay. Maybe share your social handles where people can be updated with upcoming events and all the works.
Okay, so it's at TEDx Durban on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And on WhatsApp, you can search our channel, TEDx Durban, and it should come up here.
Alrighty, Mr. Ndlovu, thank you so much for joining our channel. It's been a blast. I think you are doing incredible things.
Thank you very
in
much.
Durban, and I think personally, I think most men can gain something or two from you.
Thank you.
Keep going. We are watching and we are rooting. So all the best with everything going forward. It's much love from the Perspectives family. Till the next episode, we love you. Bye.